Well, I'm glad my brain got undamaged. And I'm glad that I, just magically got over whatever mental illness by simply reading other information. I'm glad that mental illness is so easy to cure, right? So,
what do you say to that?
Exactly that. I mean, if people who believe are mentally ill and brain damaged, then I must have been mentally ill and brain damaged, and somehow magically my brain is no longer damaged, and I achieved a fix of mental illness by simply informing myself better. I don't think that's mental illness. I think that's just being ill-informed. I think they're indoctrinated, definitely. And I did some work, I'm not going to get into it in great detail, but I did a lot of research trying to figure out what happened to me. What does indoctrination really mean? Like, what did they do to my head? Because it's very disturbing when you come out of it and you start seeing the difference between the way that you form beliefs when you don't have religion informing it for you, and how you adopted beliefs before. And some people, and myself included, had trouble articulating that in the way that I would describe it as, it's almost like I didn't really believe it. And yet I did. I would have died for it. And I thought at the time it was completely true. And so I thought, well, it was a belief, but it was a very different type of belief. So I've researched for a very long time, and I had no luck finding any explanation for how to make sense of that difference that I knew was there in my head. It's like, this has to be quantifiable because I can tell it's different. And I finally found some studies on identity. And when I looked into something called foreclosed identity versus achieved identity, that's when I realized this is what I've been looking for. The foreclosed identity is when you merely adopt a belief to a very high degree of certainty where you then don't look into it. So for different reasons than reasoning out and getting information, you accept a belief, you accept it as true, and yet you didn't really look into it that well. So that when you finally do start looking into it, you start to realize, whoa, maybe it wasn't as well informed as I thought. Whereas an achieved identity is when you came to those beliefs by actually looking into what it is that informing the beliefs, looking into the information and trying to form an opinion based on information. And it's less, you feel less surety in those types of beliefs because you understand that new information can change those beliefs. Whereas in the foreclosed identity, you have to be sitting there saying, nothing is going to change these beliefs. I'm completely sure that this is true. So it's a weird difference in how you form your own identity based on accepting beliefs without much investigation, even though you may believe you investigated it. But when you start actually forming beliefs based on investigation, you start realizing how really shallow the prior investigation was.